is a special report from News 3.
Tonight, Western Kentucky is still recovering. It's been almost a year since those deadly tornadoes. They changed our region and its people forever. It was December 10th, 2021, when an EF1, EF3, and EF4 went through. 80 people died. 8 people died when the candle factory in Mayfield collapsed. The Storm Track 3 team was on the air for more than 6 hours, keeping an eye on and tracking those storms. It leveled towns and displaced families, but people really came together. They raised millions of dollars, gave out Christmas toys, and are still helping each other rebuild. We talked to 2 businesses whose buildings were destroyed, but thanks to local support, they got a second chance, and now they're making the most of it. News 3's Danny Valle has more in this special report.
You can see some of the water drop still on here a year ago.
Memories of Mayfield's destruction are on display, even on discount, at the Good News shop. You can buy this cross, still bearing raindrops from December 10th. Owner Leisha Doran was with her 2 sons at her parents' house when texts and the storm rolled in around 9:30 that night.
My first thought was, I hope that Debbie was out of the store, because I have a employee, Debbie, who sometimes would be here late, you know, and waiting on her, one of her boys and stuff.
Fortunately, Debbie was out of town, a decision that may have saved her life. And that's because the next morning, Leisha arrived to this, a pile of debris that was once her store, unrecognizable, like the courthouse across the street.
It looked like everywhere, just like a bomb had went off everywhere. And I even was trying to get to the funeral home to drop something off that somebody had bought that I actually had found in the rubble. And it took me 30 minutes to get from my store to the funeral home because I got lost because I couldn't find the landmarks.
But kindness cascaded onto the Good News shop through volunteers giving their time and their hearts to help. Even a newlywed couple, Leisha says, drove 8 hours just to give her fixtures.
They drove it 8 hours back to me, and then they drove 8 hours back home. And it was so incredible, and it was their honeymoon.
It was their honeymoon?
And,
what an amazing couple.
Yeah. And so it was just very encouraging.
She soon hit a roadblock once she started to rebuild. Where to do it was the big question, and Leisha leaned on faith for the answer.
I had probably had like the 12th no, like there wasn't anything available. And I remember telling my husband, I said, I just don't know what we're gonna do, but I just don't feel like God's done with us yet. And an hour later, we got the call about this.
Good news can come from the most unexpected places. Just ask Wayne and Suzanne Flint, the owners of Carr's Barn Barbecue, not just a business, but a landmark of Mayfield since 1954.
This was in her family for years and years. My family built it, the old restaurant. Her family bought it from my family. So it meant something to both of us.
Neighbors and strangers pitched in to revive the barn from the ground up, including a man from Mississippi who donated enough funds that sparked the rebuild.
He sent us money twice. Out of the goodness of his heart. He didn't have to do nothing. He didn't know us, but he seen it on TV. He heard about it. He's 96 years old. He said he got more money he could ever spend in his lifetime again. 2 checks he sent us that helped do the foundation, the concrete, some of the building materials, you know. There ain't that many people in the world like him.
For the Flints, there was no other choice but to rebuild. They reopened 6 months ago, and Suzanne Flint is grateful to be back in business. They're the lucky ones, she says, and others haven't had much of it. A painful reminder of the long journey many in Mayfield have ahead. 5, maybe 10 years of rebuilding to go.
Other than downtown Mayfield, you go out 6th Street, it's like nothing happened. You know, you get out near Walmart and life is just going on like every day. But everybody says, you know, Joplin, it took 10 years, it took 10 years. It doesn't have to.
For Wayne, rebuilding the barn was a rough stretch, but it was important to them to bring it back. Not just to serve barbecue, but to offer its everyday special, a serving of hope.
Because every day somebody come up, homeless people. You know, we still feed people who come in here. Well, I'm down on my luck, or I don't have a home. Well, okay, whatever, sit down and eat, you know. And we'll do that for anybody. You know, We're fortunate. We got a place to come to work every day. They don't.
Back at the Good News Shop, owner Alicia Doran is on a journey to give back. But right now, her focus is on the holiday season to sell Christian-based items like games, greeting cards. But faith is priceless, a lesson Alicia learned firsthand.
I would just like to say thank you to everybody that had a hand in it and that actually continues to have a hand in it, because without the sorry.
No, it's okay.
Without the community, we wouldn't be here. Sorry.
Don't be. It's all right. You're here now.
Yep.
And like you said, God wasn't done with you yet.
Yep. He's not done with any of us.
Yeah, come here.
Oh, thank you.
So glad you guys are doing great.
Thank you. Thank you.
The Storm Track 3 team was tracking those storms before and on the night of December 10th. Chief Meteorologist Nick Housen and meteorologist J.C. Briand were on the air for more than 6.5 hours that night. We were getting word of those tornadoes as they moved through.
I've been tracking storms here at News 3 for more than a decade. I think back to Harrisburg in 2012, Brookport the following year in 2013, Perryville 2017. All of those were big, severe weather events here in our region that impacted a lot of lives. December 10th, 2021 took that to a whole other level.
I've tracked a lot of storms in my career, and a lot of those were in Lubbock, Texas, where we get a lot of big tornadoes regularly. But the December 10th tornado is one that you never want to see during your career, and it's life-changing.
As meteorologist, you see the forecast model projections days in advance, leading up to a big weather event. And when it comes to severe weather, you're hoping to see something change, knowing that if it doesn't, people's lives could be impacted.
This is the latest outlook for tornadoes from the Storm Prediction Center.
We look for 4 main factors in the atmosphere to produce tornadoes: shear, lift, instability, and moisture. The 2 biggest ingredients are instability and wind shear.
During the colder months of the year, the shear is often very strong. The instability, though, is lower than other parts of the year when it's much warmer. Temperatures are cooler, and there's not as much tropical moisture available that's moving north.
CAPE is essentially the instability or the storm fuel to get that storm up and going, and wind shear is the change of wind speed and direction with height, which gives you that spin in the atmosphere.
On December 10th, a large trough was approaching from the west. Out ahead of the cold front, record warm temperatures in the upper 60s and lower 70s through the mid-Mississippi and Ohio valleys. With record warm water temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico, tropical moisture moved north. When the lift from the trough fired off thunderstorms in this high shear and unusually unstable air, well, the rest is history.
Had a confirmed tornado on the ground, so this is again what we call a supercell. Notice all the light.
The first storm developed in central Arkansas. Over the next hour, the storm would grow into what we call a supercell, a storm that has a very defined appearance, and storms that are most commonly associated with large tornadoes.
If you are in Leachville, you need to be in your safe space.
The first tornado with this particular supercell began at 7:07 p.m. in Craighead County, Arkansas. Little did we know, this tornado would stay on the ground for nearly an hour and a half, tracking a little over 80 miles through northeast Arkansas, the Missouri Boot Heel, and into northwest Tennessee, killing 8 people.
A couple homes there just completely wiped off their foundation.
Just after 8:30, the storm cycled, a process where the storm briefly weakens before strengthening again. The storm would produce 3 small, short-lived tornadoes before strengthening again and spawning yet another long-lived, long-tracking tornado.
This is really not shown any signs of weakening. So when you're on there and you see that radar signature, and that's something that you would see in a textbook, you just know how strong and intense that storm is. And there's a level of anxiety and stress, and really all you can do at that point is pray that people are watching, pray that people are getting to their safe space, and scream it from the rooftops as loud as you can to help warn as many people as you can.
So once again, if you're in Mayfield, you need to be in shelter right now. You need to be in your basement. You need to be in your storm shelter, and you need to be in a interior room of your home.
The tornado hit Mayfield, Kentucky at 9:25 p.m., a high-end EF4 strength, with winds estimated by the National Weather Service survey team of nearly 190 miles per hour. On radar, debris was lofted up to 30,000 feet. In total, 22 people lost their lives in Mayfield. Continuing northeast, the tornado passed just north of Benton, Kentucky, and would hit the Cambridge Shores area along Kentucky Lake.
Boy, that may be some of the worst damage we've seen.
The tornado would continue northeast for another hour, on the ground for a total of 2 hours and 58 minutes, tracking 165.7 miles, the longest tornado track in Kentucky history and one of the longest tornado tracks in U.S. history, damaging or destroying more than 3,700 homes, 183 businesses, and more than 100 other buildings, and taking the lives of 57 people.
In the days after the tornado, you saw some of the pictures, some of the video, you hear some of the tales of survival, and you see so many of the lives that it impacted, and you just know in your career it's an event that you'll never forget.
Thinking back to that specific night and tracking that tornado, I mean, I still get stressed thinking about it. I still get anxious, and of course, once you wake up and you see the actual devastation and the people impacted, it really is life-changing. But a year later, seeing how much improvement everybody has done, people getting homes again, and just seeing everybody come together afterwards was amazing. It's a true sense of community that you just don't see on a day-to-day basis.
Governor Beshear was in Mayfield the next morning. He said looking at the devastation and the trauma seeped into your pores. These were his first thoughts after he stepped foot in Graves County.
Nothing I'd ever seen or experienced prepared me for that level of devastation. I think, no camera lens was big enough for it, and everywhere you turned was just mass destruction. We're used to tornadoes that may rip a roof off, may knock down an old building, but just something that didn't just, obliterated anything in its path, and where it came through, just totally gone. And 1 block over, the Christmas lights might still be on.
There were a lot of challenges with recovery. One of them was trying to feed everyone. We'll have more on how a local food pantry recovered and provided for their neighbors. That's coming up next.
This is a special report from News 3.
It's been a long journey of recovery in Western Kentucky. It has not been easy, but they are still making progress. Right after the December 10th tornadoes, there was a plan in place to start raising money to rebuild and get people into temporary housing. Tonight, homes are built and businesses are up and running again. Governor Beshear says there's still a ways to go, but he says he will not stop until everyone is back on their feet.
A lot has happened. But what I'd say is we are still present, and we're not going anywhere until we get the job done. People in this community deserve the very best. They've been through the worst. And so we want to do more than just lift ourselves back up. We want more opportunities in this region ever before. If people have been through hell, let's try to get them as close to heaven on earth, right? Opportunities, goodness that we can.
And as the people of Mayfield rebuild, one food pantry says they'll keep providing for people in need. News 3's Paul Wilcoxon has this report.
Solving the ever-going battle of food insecurity has been an ongoing issue for years. However, when an EF4 tornado hits your town, the need for food magnifies. That certainly was the cases for places like here at the Mayfield Graves County Need Line and Food Pantry.
There's still a lot of work to be done.
The Mayfield Graves County Need Line Food Pantry has one mission: to provide a meal for those in need.
It's tremendous, to be able to serve.
There's been no time where the pantry was needed more than after last year's tornado that struck Mayfield and Graves County.
They're pretty one in despair.
But Need Line wasn't immune to the devastation.
We a year ago after the tornado, we weren't open for 3 weeks.
Jackie Herndon is the director at Need Line Food Pantry in Mayfield. On average, he says 1,000 meals are served each month.
Sometimes you'll save somebody to talk to and to provide them food, You know, they come in feeling sad, down, and most time leave with a smile on their face. So if you can do that for somebody, I think you've done a lot.
As overwhelming as it sounds, getting back up and running proved to be easier than expected thanks to all the volunteers and organizations like Feeding America.
It was almost immediate, even like, you know, the Feeding America, they were here immediately talking to us, what can we do?
Volunteers from as far as Pennsylvania showed up to help at Needline during Mayfield's time of need.
We had a group show up one day from Knoxville. They came up to help and brought a check for nearly $10,000. So, you know, that's the kind of support we saw. And, you know, if you've got people backing you like that, you feel more like, you know, getting up in the morning and going to work and trying to get things started.
Ann Kwok is a volunteer, and at almost 90 years old, she's given her time and talents for nearly half of her life. She spent the better part of that volunteering at Needline. So why does she give her time so willingly?
Because I'm a Christian and this is what I'm supposed to do.
Kwok has seen plenty of bad times and good times, but she says the struggles people are going through right now have been some of the worst she's seen.
It's been tough on everybody around here.
Even at their lowest, Kwok sees a resiliency in the community she loves.
These people in Mayfield and Graves County, I found out, are a lot tougher than I think anybody gives them credit for. They have gone through a lot.
Still, a year later, families are still struggling to put food on their table, and Kwok says it's even tougher as holiday season hits.
It's worse right now than I have ever seen it. We're seeing new people all the time.
With that, Hernan still believes there's no place better to live than Mayfield.
If you walk around town and talk to people, you see friendly people everywhere. There's some people that had their home destroyed, but they were out helping other people.
Like Herndon, Kwok was born and raised in the area. She knows the town might never be the same, but she sees an opportunity on the horizon.
It's coming back. We're going to rebuild. It's coming back. And it's going to be, as the saying goes, it's going to be bigger and better. We'll be back.
In Mayfield, Kentucky, Paul Wilcoxon, News 3.
Mayfield took the brunt of those tornadoes. So how are they doing 1 year later? We'll look at how they came together next. It was December 10th, 2021, when deadly tornadoes moved through western Kentucky. Tomorrow, Mayfield will commemorate the 1 year mark. Thousands of people's lives have been changed, but what that severe weather did not do is dampen their instinct to help others in their time of need. News 3's Danny Valle sat down with Mayor Kathy Onan in Mayfield to reflect on tomorrow's 1 year mark.
Really, really busy. And I knew that at the 6-month anniversary, I didn't realize there would be so much media attention. And I knew it would be for the 10th. We're looking forward to having the 10th behind us.
What are some of the things that you've learned in these past 12 months that maybe you didn't think that you would learn given an event like this?
I always knew and totally believed ever since I was a school teacher in the goodness of people. The hearts of the people who have come to us to help, to bring us things we need. I don't go anywhere in Kentucky that multiple people don't say, we're still praying for your town. That is strengthening. I always knew that Mayfield was a very special place. We are a very tight-knit community. If you grew up here and are still here, you went to elementary school and middle school and high school with the same people. And if your family's always been here, so did your parents and so did your grandparents. So we all know each other. And we squabble like every place else, but by golly, when those chips are down, there was no finer people to be side by side working with than these people in this community.
Joyful and triumph.
And when we have lost so much, but we're still here, and it didn't take too long amongst the grief and the loss to begin planning for the future. That's the beauty of humanity, I think. I think it's within all of us. And for some lucky people, it never gets called upon to prove itself. I love the fact that a lot of the people who have stepped forward to take leadership roles in what they want this town to be are students I have taught in the past. They're in their 30s, they're in their early 40s. And that's exactly who should be doing this. Not me and my friends, we're that right there too. But you know, for these young family members and young members of our community to step up and take on these leadership roles, it's just beautiful to watch. I did a lot of interviews the first 2 or 3 days.
It is amazing how far Mayfield and all of Western Kentucky has come in just 1 year. To all of you at home, thank you for watching tonight as we take a look back on the 1-year mark since those deadly tornadoes in Western Kentucky. Thank you again. Have a wonderful evening and take care.